There was a time, not so long ago, when a simple, everyday object could make all the difference between life and death. It's something most folks wouldn't even think twice about today. A belt. But during the war, well, it became a lifeline for those who knew the secret. World War II wasn't just a battle of armies. It was a battle against gravity, against cold, against water, against time. Planes went down in black oceans, vehicles sank in flooded fields, paratroopers missed their drop zones and landed in rivers instead of roads. And in those moments, there were no second chances. But hidden inside military survival training, there was a small, almost forgettable technique. No weapon, no special gear, no advanced technology. Just a belt. It sounds ordinary, almost laughable, until you realize that for some men, that belt meant the difference between floating and disappearing. So why was this trick taught quietly, and then largely forgotten? And could it still work right now, if you ever needed it? During World War II, thousands of service members died in water-related incidents, not always from enemy fire, but from cold shock, from exhaustion, from drowning after crashes and forced landings. Here's what most people don't understand. When you fall into cold water unexpectedly, your body panics. Breathing becomes erratic, muscles tighten, clothing becomes heavy. And if you don't have flotation, you have minutes, sometimes less. Military survival instructors knew this, so they taught improvisation. Because when equipment fails, knowledge is all that's left. Imagine you're in open water. No life vest, boots dragging you down. Here's what some World War II servicemen were trained to do. First, remove your belt. Fast. Second, form it into a loop and secure it tightly. Third, position it around your torso, usually under the arms or around the chest. Now comes the key step. You trap air inside your shirt or jacket. Then you use the belt as a seal, holding that air pocket against your body. By splashing, scooping air, or briefly lifting part of your clothing above water, you create trapped air inside the fabric. The belt prevents that air from escaping immediately. Air equals buoyancy. Buoyancy equals time. It wasn't comfortable, it wasn't perfect, but it could reduce the effort required to stay afloat. And when you're fighting exhaustion, reducing effort matters. This wasn't magic. It was physics. Air trapped inside fabric creates lift. Even small pockets of air help offset body weight in water. Modern survival instructors still teach similar concepts, like inflating trousers to create flotation. The belt method was simply another variation. Heavy leather belts worked best. Thick cotton uniforms trapped air better than tight synthetics. But the real advantage wasn't just physical, it was psychological. When someone has a plan, panic decreases. When panic decreases, breathing stabilizes. When breathing stabilizes, survival odds improve. The belt trick gave soldiers something priceless in chaos: control. Here's the part most history books skip. Not every unit received the same survival training. Early in the war, training varied widely. Some commanders emphasized combat drills over survival skills. Others didn't consider water survival a priority unless a unit was naval or airborne. That meant some men knew how to improvise flotation. Others didn't. After the war, survival analyses showed a pattern. Individuals trained in water improvisation techniques had better outcomes in certain ditching and maritime emergencies. It wasn't a secret conspiracy, it was inconsistency. But inconsistency in war costs lives. And sometimes the smallest lessons, like what to do with a belt, never reached the people who needed them most. So here's the real question. If you fell into water today, could this trick still help? Yes, under the right conditions. Modern belts vary. Thin fashion belts won't seal air well. Synthetic materials behave differently than thick leather. Clothing also matters. Loose garments trap air better than tight athletic wear. And environment matters most of all. Cold water shock can incapacitate you in seconds. Strong currents can overpower flotation. Rough seas make air retention difficult. This is not a replacement for a life jacket. It is not guaranteed. It is not effortless. But in calmer conditions or as a temporary measure, it can buy time. And in survival, time is everything. So, why did this technique fade away? Well, it all comes down to technology. Life vests became standard, aircraft improved, and maritime safety regulations strengthened. As equipment improved, improvisation skills became less emphasized for civilians. We became dependent on systems. But let's not forget, systems can fail. Cars slide into rivers, boats capsize, and floodwaters rise faster than expected. Most people today have never practiced floating without assistance. The WWII's generation didn't always have that luxury. They learned to look at ordinary objects differently. A belt wasn't just clothing, it was potential. The forgotten belt trick isn't really about water. It's about mindset. Survival favors those who adapt. A belt can secure a splint, fasten equipment, or in extreme emergencies, assist in applying pressure to stop bleeding. It can act as binding, leverage, restraint, or flotation. Same object, different outcome. The difference is knowledge. WWII forced people to innovate with what they had. That habit of improvisation saved lives across battlefields, oceans and forests. Today, we rarely think that way, until we have to. If you're curious about flotation improvisation, only experiment in controlled environments, like a supervised pool. Have lifeguards present. Never test this in open water and never rely on it over proper safety gear. The goal isn't to replace equipment, it's to understand principles. Because understanding reduces panic, and panic is often the real enemy. Picture 1944. Dark ocean. Burning wreckage behind you. No rescue in sight. You remember a small detail from training. A belt looped tight. Air trapped in fabric. Just enough lift to rest your legs. Just enough to breathe slower. Just enough to survive until dawn. Now, picture yourself. If something unexpected happened tomorrow, would you recognize the tools already on you? Or would you wait for equipment that might not be there? The next time you fasten your belt, consider this. It's not just holding up your clothes, it's a reminder. Ordinary objects carry hidden possibilities. Sometimes survival isn't about strength. It's about remembering what others learned the hard way. If you want more forgotten survival tactics pulled from history's shadows, subscribe and stay prepared. Because the past doesn't just tell stories, it leaves instructions.